If you are struggling to transition to the next Torment tier, I have a checklist prepared with a lot of information on how to accomplish the next Torment tier. As you can see right here on the screen, down in the description, there is going to be my Season 6 compendium, not only having the progression checklist, but also having a very useful materials list where you can find Forgotten Souls or Opticide or Obols, for example, but also a fast 1 to 60 checklist. But in this video, we're talking about the progression checklist. It is extremely important that you have an activity and a goal in mind to be able to progress to the next Torment tier. And I have listed all of these goals together with the activities out in the spreadsheet, again linked down in the description. So if you are just now hitting level 60, you are going to have the full 750 item level gear goal, so to say. And what you need to do is you need to run normal difficulty dungeons, nightmare dungeons, because it does actually not matter at which difficulty you are playing. When you are level 60, the mobs will always drop level 750 item level loot. So therefore it is going to be much easier to gear up in normal difficulty than it would be to do so in Penitent. So that is going to be your very first goal. And you also acquire your glyphs passively. This is going to be hitting 2 birds with 1 stone in a very easy to access first goal. And as soon as you are full or almost full 750 item level, you can actually start going to Torment 1 by clearing the pit tier 20. Then your next goal becomes that you level your glyphs that you have acquired to level 15. Obviously, if you can already do that while you're pushing towards T1, that is going to be amazing. For this, you are going to then speed farm T16 pits in Torment 1, or unlocking the radius of the glyphs and increasing that so you can actually get the very strong damage multiplier. And it's going to be that easy to get out of Torment 1. Literally get your glyphs to 15 and just accumulate a little bit more gear, maybe swap out an item here or there to increase your character overall power. At this point, you shouldn't really worry that much about your damage. Much rather, you should worry about your defenses, namely armor and resist, because when you go up to the next Torment tier in tier 2, you are going to lose armor and resists, and we are trying to offset that already a little bit. This is very easily done by having all resists on your items, for example the boots, chests, the pants are going to help out tremendously, and you can even go so far as to maybe do that on your accessories. So for example, your amulet can also do that, or even rings. So if you are desperate for that resistance, definitely sacrifice some offensive stats. 6% crit chance is not gonna make or break your build, whereas 12% all resistances can actually offset the amount of torment elemental resistance loss that you're going to acquire as soon as you start climbing up in the Torment rank. And if you think any of this is helpful so far, I provide this literally every season, not only build guides, but also general progression tips. If you don't want to miss out on those, I suggest you subscribe to the YouTube channel. So let's say now you are in T2. Now the goal is to level up your glyphs to around level 30 or so. Ideally, you would want to do that by speed farming T30 pits. And what you can now also add into your daily playtime is going to be that you are acquiring build enabling unique. And since you are following a max roll guide, you can actually see in the chapter 6, the stat priorities and item progression, what type of build enabling items you should actually strive for. If we go to the starter, which is basically your current gear level if you're trying to go from T1 to T2, you can actually see that there is not really something that you need to play the build, but as soon as we start going to Ancestral, you can see that ideally we want to use the Harmony of Ebewaka for this build, for example. A Rod of Kepeleke would be nice, Ring of Midnight Sun, and also a Yen's Blessing as well as a Jacquin Shell. And if you don't know which boss drops the build specific or build enabling unique, you can see the boss loot table cheat sheet down here in the resources section. To the top right, you can actually find the boss loot table cheat sheet, where you can actually Control F and, for example, type in Midnight Sun. You will get teleported directly to the boss that drops the Midnight Sun, and in this case, this is going to be Gregoire. So with that in mind, it's very important to not spend all of your boss mats, because you actually really want to save some for T3 and T4, where your chance of getting Ancestrals is going to be increased. So don't spend all of them. But ideally, you only spend just the right amount to acquire maybe all or some of the build enabling or build improving uniques that we just highlighted for the Quill Volley build, for example. Then it's also extremely important that you are gambling your Obols starting in T1 and T2 actually, where you are going to improve your character's power, not only by getting the chance of getting Ancestrals, but also getting the chance of finding uniques from the gambler. The gambling of the uniques is extremely powerful in this season and is probably tuned a little bit too highly, but then again, this is exactly what you want when you are trying to move out of T2 and into T3. And furthermore, it's also really nice to start masterworking your gear, especially the gear that has the aforementioned all resistance on them. So if you have boots with all resistance, critting with 4 out of 12 masterworking on that all resistance is going to help you out tremendously when you need to offset another 25% reduction of your all elemental resistances. And then it should actually be absolutely no problem for you to reach Torment 3, and now a little bit more grindy part begins. You're going to slow down a little bit in your progression, which is not really a big deal because obviously we also have again the goals, activities and additional info. Now you are trying to get your glyphs to level 46 by speed farming tier 46 pits. Ideally, you play around with the pit level a little bit. If you are leveling your 30 glyphs, you don't need to clear 46s in 14 minutes. You could do the pit 35s in 5 minutes and you would be much more efficient while also generating the same amount of glyphs levels. So you kind of need to apply some common sense here and actually play around with the numbers. Maybe have a timer running, but you shouldn't really do plus 10 or plus 12 of your current glyph level. Doing plus 2 or 3 or 4 is actually fully enough to level up the glyphs. In Torment 3, it becomes even more important to fix resists and armor. Again, the same concept applies. Try getting all resistance to your elements on the boots or the chest or the pants, for example. You can also still use that on your amulets or your rings if that really helps you. Int classes obviously have a little bit of a easier time right here, then so do the strength classes. So you are going to have an easier time on the resists or the armor in that case. Very important here, again, is to study the maxroll.gg build guide that you are following. There is going to be a prio on resists and armor on your Paragon board. So definitely keep an eye out on the Paragon and maybe do a quick little detour to all resists or 2 armor nodes depending on which stat you currently need. So this is going to really help out. A big cheat code for resistances are actually Yen's Blessing and also Rakanos Wake. They do have a lot of resistance baked into them, and the good thing about those is they are unique. So they always will have the all resistance on them. If you are getting super lucky and you find a greater affix on those, then you will easily be set for your resistances for Torment 3. On the new items that you found while you were doing Torment 3, you can decide to now also start using the 4 out of 12 masterworking crit, that first one, on offensive stats, because now actually your damage starts to matter and you kind of need to find a balance between armor and resist stacking as well as getting a lot of offensive abilities. In Torment 3, I would still say that your defenses compared to your offenses are more important because the health pools are not extremely high yet and you are getting a lot of damage through your Paragon and also through your increased glyph levels. After that, it's time to clear your first pit tier 65, which is going to unlock Torment 4 for you. Here you do have to play the same game again. You're losing armor, you're losing resistances. Now you need to somehow offset this. For what I have seen for basically everyone, Woody, me, all the good players, it was never efficient to instantly start farming in T4 when you unlocked it. Everyone went back a little bit, farmed up a little bit in T3, because obviously you are going to kill mobs much faster than you would be doing so in Torment 4. So there is definitely a huge efficiency loss going straight into Torment 4, so please do not fall for that trap. And there you go. Now you're just repeating all of the previous activities, you're doing your boss rotations. Maybe you are also masterworking your items to 8 out of 12 now. Maybe you found another ancestral item that is going to make you much stronger in terms of defense or offense, and this is going to slowly but surely make T4 way more efficient than T3 for you. If you feel completely stuck during your progression, I'm currently live on Twitch where I can check your character and we can together decide what your next goal should actually be. So if you're looking for that, I'm live right now. Come stop by the stream. We are going to help you out. And while we're doing so, we're also going to be blasting some Spirit Bonds. So if you're interested in that, I suggest you check out the Twitch that is linked down in the description and also in the pinned comment below. And if you like content similar to this, make sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel and I'll see you next time.